everyone. Welcome today for Self-Care for Black Girls. We are in the month of August. And so we'll be talking about tips for dating yourself, and these include challenging anxiety when it comes to solo activities, exploring the benefits, and also we'll throw in some suggestions in terms of activities that you can do solo as well.
Oh, nice. That's good.
All right. So to introduce ourselves again, my name is Faith, and I'm a therapist here at RS Counseling and Wellness Center.
I'm Alexis. I'm the project specialist here at RS Wellness Center, and I'm also a sexologist.
And I'm Sharea.
So as you all know, we are in the month of August, so welcome to August.
We're in Leo season.
Right.
That's the best part. Sorry.
Happy belated birthday.
Let it rush. Happy birthday. Let it rush.
I mean, you can't help yourself. Right?
Listen.
I've been celebrating since July. So
as you should.
we're slowly coming to an end. This weekend is the beach with my girls and my family. So I'm excited.
See, summer is ending.
Yes.
I don't want to think about that yet.
Nope. Not at all.
I'm in denial. I have one more good month and then.
Exactly. And then the dark comes.
Yeah. Isn't this like the last week of it being like
the longest.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, like the days start to get shorter.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So unfortunate.
Wow.
So milk it while you can.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But August is National Wellness Month, which is a time to prioritize self-care, reduce stress, and create healthier habits, especially in time for the fall and the winter seasons when seasonal depression becomes a thing. And August is also known as Self-Awareness Month. So it's really the time to really recognize how you feel, how you act, and how you think.
Wow, I didn't know these things about the month of August, wellness and the self-awareness.
Yeah, no.
Those are really good things to know just in general. But that speaks to getting ready for the new year for school and getting into school, the semester starting for some people, or high school, depending on where you are in life. So it speaks to like the newer season. So that's actually really good to start thinking about, are you aware of what your needs are?
Completely. Yeah, and if we're thinking about kind of these different ways of wellness and checking in, this includes self-reflection and personal growth, mental health awareness, physical wellness, emotional well-being, and also community and social wellness, which people tend to underestimate the power of as well.
Absolutely, especially as we're about to talk about dating yourself and solo dating, being understanding that harmony that you need between all of them, right? Between yourself and the world, and others in relationships.
So before we delve into the dating yourself components, I want to throw out some questions to the group.
All right. Can you see that we didn't review? If no one else reviewed them, she was ready because I would have been ready with my answer. So y'all get this real time.
Okay.
I like the real time.
Yeah,
let's
do it.
Let's go.
I mean, the first question is simpler. So have you done any solo activities?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone care to share what they've done solo?
Oh, which activities are we talking? Are we gonna go down that list of like social, mental? Like I go solo therapy, I go solo. Like no, I'm joking, but no, true, not joking. I do all those things, but like I think it's still important, even as a married person, to date yourself. Really keen on making sure that at least once a month I try to do something that is about bringing myself joy, bringing myself an opportunity to kind of be with me, so that could, and that's not past my regular self-care activities. So it might be like going out to eat by myself. It might be actually going to like a store that I know is like based in something that has to do with my wellness, like so a bookstore, things like that, that I know I enjoy. And I'll do it kind of like intentional by myself. And that would mean like not with my friends or not with my siblings or my nieces or nephew, but just me.
You yourself.
So, and I think for me, I started that from like 28 on, but even before marriage.
Yeah, I do solo things definitely now, post children. It's rare, but it's something that I'm very intentional about. Because I learned to do solo dates or to sort of just be comfortable with doing things alone when I moved to another city, away from family, away from friends. I was all by myself. It was weird at first. It was like, oh, I look like this weirdo, lonely loser, sitting in a corner. And then after a while, like after the first couple of times, I was like, well, this is where it's at.
Absolutely.
I don't have to worry about nobody saying when is it time to go or how much something costs or what's going on. It's all about me, and it's a place that I can just really be in tune and get reconnected with what I want to do and what I desire. And so now I'm planning it out. Like Sharice, I'm trying to get, every chance I get, me by myself alone. And the harder part is making it not errand based or task based.
Exactly, because I mean, that's easier to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now,
I do those all the time.
Exactly.
Right. Now it's like I'm grateful to do those things alone, but it's still a task. Like I'm grateful to go to Sam's Club alone. I don't got people screaming, wanting samples, or wanting to go to the bathroom. But it's like it's a peaceful to do that errand, but it's still an errand.
Absolutely.
So, like an actual date, I love me some.
That's a good point, because
That's
I
so
mean,
true.
you spend more time like doing all these alone things that are really tasks.
Exactly.
They're not really alone things. That's why I'm conscious of, like, if I'm going to the bookstore, even if I'm not buying, it's because I love books. And I love just sitting there, maybe reading something and or exploring what I might read next, so yeah, like, now mind you, I didn't always like all that phone stuff, but I realized that it was part of how I needed to fall back in love with me during a time that was important. Like at 27, 28.
Yeah, it's so interesting hearing both of your journeys, because I think it hits us at different moments, whether it's moving, whether it's like before marriage and preparing for that transition. I know for me, it was also like all through my life, or at least all through college, I was in a relationship, never thought about doing solo activities. I also had my friends, so it was a very close-knit community. And then I moved for grad school. And that's when I started to do errands alone. And that felt like a big move of like, wow, I'm really independent. But if it ever came to like going to the movies alone or a concert or dinner, like I would feel so panicked because I just wasn't used to that. And then I moved back to Trenton, and having to then have like less friends in the area, I had to then force myself to do solo like activities. And so now I've learned to embrace it. I've gone to a concert alone. I went to the movies alone. I still can't do dinner yet because it just feels too lonely.
Oh, I love it.
I need to tap into that.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Because I am, oh my gosh, I will do it like for a random lunch. I'll be like, oh, you know what? And I'm actually gonna sit down and take the time at the table. Put my phone away sometimes, like really just be present.
I need to do that. That and traveling around my list, because I've done everything else, like a solo trip.
Oh gosh.
Or a solo dinner. I haven't. I'm too scared.
So even in marriage, one of the things that my husband and I were very conscious of is that we were individuals before each other. Absolutely. And we enjoy things together. And yes, but both of us have times of the year that it's hard. It's like, so mine is October. So usually if I'm doing a solo trip, it's in October. He's now, because of the writing, he has a lot more frequency because of the retreats and all those things. But normally it's just once a year. He'll go to New Orleans on his own, the same way I'll go by myself. Like in my solo trips that are not with my family, because I go to that a lot by myself anyway. But when it's like, I just want to be on vacation, I want to be by myself, I want to go to the beach, I want to walk every morning at the beach, I go on my own.
Yeah, I need to get there.
Exactly.
I'm not there yet.
And like
I'm taking a flight alone to meet somebody. But I want to get there where it's like I'm vacationing by myself.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go on it because you got vacation. I want a vacation.
Exactly.
There you go. I love.
Exactly. On a resort. Like
On a resort. Yeah.
I need like a resort.
Yeah, I want to go
resort there.
resort first.
Yes.
Like, now that I go, like, so I have this thing where I wanted to fall in love with being able to see that you can go places local. I do a lot of that first. I did a lot of that as well. So it would be like, hey, I'm gonna go to the harbor down in Baltimore and I'm gonna stay by myself for a weekend. And then I started doing that every birthday as a part of my birthday gifts. to myself, gifts, here that leaves, like, part of my birthday gifts to myself, and what I realized is that now, let's go further, and so, but even before my husband, it was, my first solo trip was Jamaica. And I did resort,
Yeah.
but it was so relaxing, I'm
I
talking, I only think I did like a long weekend, so I think I did like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and came home Sunday, something like that,
Yeah,
because I was scared.
right.
And I was like, oh, this might be a little crazy,
Mhm.
but man, I remember feeling like that was the beginning of it. I was like, oh, I should do this every time.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And then now it's like, I need the breaks to be able to reconnect spiritually, so I do it for that reason too.
I need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we've kind of answered the
I'm
next
sorry.
question. No, which is like, do you typically feel anxious when it comes to doing these activities? I do.
Yeah, well, starting out, this is like me talking about doing it after, oh my gosh. Like that first Jamaica trip was so scary. Like I remember like, okay, I gotta tell everybody, my sister, God rest her soul, I like the detailed list of things she needed in order to feel like she
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
gonna fly in. Like,
Yeah.
it was so crazy, but I also look back and I'm like, cause even her husband was like, I'm just gonna fly in randomly, like.
How was that the resort?
Like, hey, you want 'em out? I was like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna do this on my own. I really had gotten out of this really bad situation, or actually, like, it was a relationship and it was just bad. And I was just like, I need to figure me out. And so I just remember thinking, I'm gonna push myself past myself.
Yeah.
But it still didn't mean that I wasn't like anxious. I didn't plan and triple plan and triple plan to
Yeah.
plan about the triple plan.
Yeah.
And I definitely, when I first got there, was like, I'm not making any moves outside of the 5 air, like I'm gonna go from my room, cause I want people to know I'm here alone. Like I was nervous, but then I realized that I wasn't the only one there alone.
Right.
That's true. There's
Yeah.
always someone else that you can.
Yeah.
I met other people. I met people that work at the resort that work. I like talking to people.
Same.
I like, yeah. So I've met people, and the experiences that you get also is that people are. I feel this way. Everyone is not as bad as we think they are, and a lot more people are protective of good energy.
Yeah.
And so I think that holds me when I go places, because it actually helps me to start looking for what will work, and then also being aware of where I don't need to be.
Right. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Like trusting yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I say that because it wasn't like I just was like, oh, I'm going, I don't need to go. But that 3 days took like months of planning, or 4 days, months of planning, just so that I could even get the nerve
But I
out to
love
do it.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Maybe I'll do that. My bucket list for next year, because this year I'm tapped out, but next year.
And the resort makes it easier.
Yeah.
Because it's safer. You can meet other people while you're there. You can also be very keen on what's going on around you and not be overwhelmed by like thinking something is gonna happen because it's a resort.
Right.
You just have to make sure it's the right resort.
Right.
Like I definitely paid more. I wasn't willing to go cheap on that
Right.
because I wanted to make sure it was a brand,
Yeah.
like it was someone that I know is at least 5 stars. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
like, hey, if you wanna do it, do it.
Yeah. You can do it. Do it.
Wanna be telling anybody what to do, but
Yeah.
at that
It was in
point,
your means, but
Yeah, do it.
when
do
you're
it.
taking that trip out,
Yes.
I think you really should do what's in your means and
Yeah.
also what's in your protection.
Yeah.
Safety first.
Mhm.
And so now we'll talk about dating yourself. And it is a concept that requires spending that quality time alone, engaging in activities that you enjoy, and also nurturing that deeper connection with yourself, whether emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. And it does have significant positive impacts on your mental health.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So let's talk about some of those benefits of dating yourself. The first is increased self-awareness. This is the month of self-awareness. And part of that is understanding your needs, where spending time alone allows you to better understand your likes, your dislikes, and your personal needs without the external influence, which we have a lot of.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna add for self-awareness in that one, and I'm not sure, because I might be jumping.
Mhm.
It also helps you to kind of reinforce your values, like
Mhm.
the things that you're into, the things that are you clearly outside of anyone else.
Yeah.
But also may include other people other times, right? So I think that's important too with self-awareness. Like, I think for me at that age, I really believed that I knew myself.
Mhm.
However, it wasn't until I was able to really get to know me that I realized that I had so much more learning around who I was outside of a relationship,
Yeah.
outside of being a daughter, outside of being a sister, an aunt, all these other titles. Who was Sharea?
Yeah.
So I think that really made me think about, like, it made me challenge my beliefs at the time around how I participate in my religion. You know, like, even that was something that I needed time away from everybody
Mhm.
to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I love that, because I think that's sort of where I was as well when I moved for grad school. I moved for grad school. So I was what, 21, 22, and for 21, 22 years, it was this like notion that anything alone was like selfish. Like, I'm one of 6 children. So like, even when I want to go to a friend's house alone, it's like just to be with my friend. It's like, oh no, you better take your sister, you better take somebody with you. They want to go too, and you not going alone for protective reasons or whatever
Yeah.
the reasons may have been. Like, alone was not something, like, I never even had my own bedroom. Like, it just, alone was not something that I ever really was. So going out and like Sharea said, like, being able to see, like, so who is Alexis outside of like my other characteristic traits or whatever, that people assign to me that I do buy into. Like, I am a planner, I am organized, I am like type A, like, I'm gonna make sure everything, I'm like Mama Bear, like, that is so me. But who is Alexis when there's nobody but Mama Bear? Like, when there's nobody, when it's just me. And that was something that I was able to see, like, I'm more than just these things. Because I don't have to do a whole itinerary and send it out to people when it's just me. It's like, I could do my own thing, and
You got to send it out.
and what is your vibe? That's me. I'm
We all
like,
need one of you in our freakers, though.
It's actually so true.
I just gotta give you that compliment.
Yeah.
Cause I'm just be like,
You got me.
y'all, I'm gonna meet you at the pool. Let me know what y'all wanna do after that.
Exactly.
We in? But I'm good with a person who has an itinerary, as long as they know on here, I might be like, I ain't doing this.
yeah, like dating myself was finding out who am I outside of those things with no one else. Like, what do I like to do? And that was eye-opening. I was like, oh wow, okay.
It's a big transition. Yeah, and I guess like Sharea covered it in terms of reflection, introspection, and really processing your thoughts and emotions and your values. Yeah. And the next bit of that benefits is improved self-esteem, where dating yourself allows you to really have the self-validation. When you take yourself out on dates, you validate your own worth and you learn to appreciate your company, which can boost your overall self-esteem. And also just making decisions for yourself and enjoying your own company fosters that independence and self-confidence.
I saw something on a social media a while ago, because I ain't barely been on it that much lately, that had, talking about how Black women are really doing things for themselves in a way that makes it important for people to see that they gotta step up to.
Oh, yes.
Like, you don't get to just give me anything because I can offer myself this, but I also want you to know that this is what I deserve.
Yeah.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think we for too long looked at it like, oh, I don't want to make anyone feel emasculated, or if you're heterosexual, right? I don't want anyone to feel bad about, how they're gonna have to treat me. However, what that results in is that you get any type of treatment.
Right.
Versus in some ways, when you know what you want and how to treat yourself, there's this level of, you gotta come up here. Like, my expectation of loving me is high. And I remember the first time my husband, or one of the first times he shared about why he loved me, it was because of how much I loved myself. And I was like, okay,
Right, like, okay, yeah.
Like, my kudos because you
Yeah.
can't come, like, and it's not because I expect you to do it exactly, but I expect you to know that it's getting done.
Right.
It's always so interesting. I feel like, especially with younger clients, meaning clients my age, there's this pattern of like, I don't want to come across as too independent because they can make other guys, because they're not quite men yet,
Yeah.
but it makes other guys feel like they're like emasculated or they're not doing enough or they don't compare. But you do need to set that standard because otherwise you'll be accepting the bare minimum and you'll be glorifying the bare minimum and they'll take that as, okay, I can treat her anyhow.
Right.
And on the flip side of that is, as a person who works with some older women, looking back at those who have settled, they're now worried that their lives have outgrown the person they're with.
Right.
Because they're so far ahead of, and I said, I won't say ahead of, they're so different in the way that they may even see motivation of self-care and taking care of themselves than their partners, that some of them are now feeling like, I've been really alone in this whole relationship or marriage. So I think the consequence of that form of thinking is that, because I don't think it's been generations that have been doing that.
Yeah.
Right, that consequence is that when you get, like I'm thinking of like some of my 50-year-olds and older. When you get that age and you're like, we've been married for this long time, because that's, important to people in their mind.
Right.
We've been married for 15, 30 years. And it's like,
The
yeah,
quantity,
but
not the quality.
what's the quality of that
Mhm.
marriage? But now it's like, they're looking and they're like, well, is it too late to leave? Or if I leave, how will that, because I love that person, but they've not grown
Right.
and I'm ready to do more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I also think it's such a myth, and I think the biggest lie that we're sold is that self-esteem and independence will not allow you to then have a healthy relationship,
Right.
because the two things can exist at once.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of finding a partner who recognizes that and sees that as a strength and not a deficit of yours.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, because then we go, and I know we're not talking this today, but then we go into the whole issues of gender identities and what we believe each person brings to relationships, if we're thinking in the heterosexual realm. But then even so, we bring those same things into same-sex or multiple relationships. We bring them into all types of relationships because it's so rooted in us to think that there has to be this level of submission around all areas. And that includes our intellect, our ambition. It includes all these areas that may have nothing to do with connection. Like,
It also goes into this like beautiful dance of, if we're talking about like relationship wise, like two whole and complete people coming together. And it's like, I can do these things for myself. I don't need you to do them. I can do them for myself and I know I can do them for myself and I can do them for myself. But if you would like to do some of these things for me, like that's like a service. And in marriage, it's servitude. Like you're signing up to serve one another. But knowing that it's not because this person is dependent on me to do these things, or I have to boost someone's self-esteem all the time, or I have to make sure they have the basic needs for whatever. That's not.
Yeah, that self-validation is, the first part is self.
Right.
Yeah. Like the validation can't always come from an outside source. And when you see that, I'm trying not to become a therapist on the spot right now, but it's just gonna happen naturally. When you see that, you need to worry about, is some of this about my own style and my relationships with others as when I've been rejected, or areas of rejection that I've felt in the past.
Yeah.
Because the truth is that you're trying to get that validation to reinforce something that's empty. And honestly, you can't really get it from nowhere else, because the source that you probably didn't get it from can never go back and give it.
Right.
So yeah, we got into a lot there. Right?
Yeah. So mine is like, oh, inner child healing and
Absolutely, because that's exactly, I was trying not to go into what I know you might have down here.
Before we get to the relationship piece, there's also the stress reduction benefits,
Okay.
where engaging in these activities that you love without the pressure of pleasing others can help to reduce the stress and really promote relaxation. And also just being present during these solo activities helps you practice mindfulness, which is known to decrease anxiety and improve overall mental health.
Yeah, I just literally with one of my clients today, we talked about the reality of being responsible and intentional around her mindfulness activities even when it comes to the smallest thing as not showering while you're trying to listen to your devotion. Because then it's like you're rushing through an experience that is supposed to heighten your beliefs or your faith,
Yeah.
right? Because in that moment, it feels like I'm trying to get the task done. But what I'm not getting is the experience with myself related to what's important to my values, right? So that mindfulness is, I know people throw it around as like this casual term a lot these days. It's so important to kind of think about all the areas that we can be intentionally mindful in
Yeah.
to get to know ourselves.
That's how it was for me with going out on solo dates to dinner. Because I'm a foodie, I love to eat.
Yeah.
And usually when I'm eating, I'm sharing the experience with someone else. So we're talking, we're laughing, we're joking, we're critiquing the food, thinking we're food critics and everything else, which food isn't nowadays. But we're doing all of the things. But when I would go by myself, it's like I would be intentional, put everything away and just sit and really focus on like the food, the taste, the flavor, everything, and just really enjoy that time. And it's a different experience. It's a different experience.
I'm gonna try that soon.
You got
I like that. I'm gonna breeze through some of these so we can get to the challenge, like ways to challenge the anxiety.
Okay.
But we also have enhanced emotional regulation as a benefit, where the time alone gives you space to really process your emotions without any distractions. And also just learning to enjoy your own company reduces the need for external validation, and helps you manage your emotions more effectively.
Okay.
We spoke about the better relationships with others, where understanding your own needs through self-dating helps you establish those healthy boundaries and relationships with other people. And also building that strong relationship with yourself reduces emotional dependency on others, leading to healthier and more balanced relationships.
Yes.
The last three are increased creativity and inspiration, where solo activities allows for you to really explore new hobbies, interests, which can spark creativity and inspiration, and also offer you mental clarity on how to approach certain problems with a fresh perspective.
I just want to throw in, like, I think here is where you can also be very creative around how you date yourself solo if you have anxieties, right? So you might think about taking an art class, taking a dance class. Those are all still solo activities, but they allow you to do it in a collective way until you can get used to it, especially if you've always done it with your friends or your partner or someone else in your life. So finding those creative areas, because I know even for me, like I took art class once. I was terrible. But it was fun because I get to meet all these cool artists that I wouldn't have known or been a part of their community at all. And I'm definitely not. But even that, or even like for music, I would go to the concerts on my own. Like those type of things become these creative ways to create a solo experience, but also create some connections too.
Completely. Next we have greater life satisfaction,
Yes.
where investing in yourself through these solo dates creates a sense of fulfillment and contentment, as well, and the freedom of making your own choices based on your preference without compromise increases your sense of autonomy and empowerment. Last but not least, we have improved mental resilience, where regularly spending time alone helps you develop better coping skills, which makes you a lot more resilient in the face of challenges. And lastly, taking care of yourself through self-dating allows you to practice self-compassion, which is really crucial for mental resilience.
All that and all that. I know this isn't the time and I'm gonna say it anyway though. I also still want to go back to that one for codependency somewhere you said.
Oh yeah, healthy relationships.
I use that word lightly, but I also think that this is balance in this act and this dance when it comes to dating yourself solo, where you also don't want to get to the point where you believe that solo dating equates to you not having to have interpersonal relationships or relationships with others, because sometimes on the other side of not doing it at all is thinking that I don't need anybody, I don't want anybody, and I can do these things on my own.
Yeah.
So making sure it's like a healthy balance on how it impacts you for self-validation and self-esteem and just the self, right? At the same time, understanding the importance of that social connection around being able to have yourself in a group. So
very true. And I think part of that also is the intention behind it. I think Alexis, you were talking before about like, you can do things with your friends and you can enjoy that time with your friends,
Mhm.
but sometimes you just need time to clear your head. Or
Absolutely.
you just need time to really check in with yourself and enjoy something alone. So
Mhm.
being mindful that doing solo activities doesn't mean being hyper independent and
Yeah,
isolating
Yeah.
and cutting off your friends, because that's not feeding the social component that we also need. For
that we talked
self-awareness.
about last time,
Mhm.
when we talked about loneliness and not having those connections. So that balance and that dance is important for your
Yeah.
health.
Yeah, completely. So now let's talk about tips for challenging the anxiety around solo activities. The first tip is starting small. And by this, we mean begin with low stake activities that feel less intimidating, like going for a walk, visiting a coffee shop, or reading in a park. And also do it in a gradual exposure where you can increase the complexity of the solo activities at your own comfort level.
Mhm.
For example, moving from a short solo outing to a longer day trip.
Yeah, I think that's a great, I thought immediately about the fact that I walk alone a lot now, but when I first started, I was always walking with someone. And it really was like, oh, okay, I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like have to maybe go to places that are unsafe for me to walk for long distances or in places where nobody can see me. But I can find safe places that I can do this by myself. But it started with, I'm doing it with other people. Well, let me take one of these days and just do it with myself.
Yeah, I know even for me, like starting small was like going to the gym alone. And that in itself was already a big transition because you have to learn the machines.
Yeah.
You have to go here. Like, you have to get used to looking stupid alone.
Right.
Honestly, that was like a really high stakes.
Yeah, it don't feel like it, but it can be. Yes, because I remember the first gym I went to alone, I was like, is this the right direction?
Yeah,
But it also makes other people talk to you. Help,
exactly.
You know,
I
so-
mean, 'cause I'm the first one to be like, excuse me.
Yeah.
You show me how I'm supposed to use this, thank you.
and for us introverts, we ain't going on it. We just like,
Oh, friend.
I just be like, let me Google it.
Exactly. Watch a video.
Like, look at this real quick and see what it's called.
Yeah, goodness.
It all depends on your personality.
Yes,
I'm
it does.
not talking to these people.
Yeah.
No, no.
Honestly. But yeah, like start at your own level and then push yourself over time
Absolutely.
so that you can get to the place where you're really feeling confident.
So you get to that trip.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, like
I'm trying to.
I'll get to the dinner than the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, like step it up, like,
Yeah.
I'm going all out.
Yeah. Next we have practicing mindfulness,
Okay.
which really means focusing on the present moment during solo activities to really prevent the anxiety from spiraling.
Absolutely.
Mindfulness techniques like deep breathing or grounding exercises can help you keep centered when you're starting to feel more panicked. And also noticing when anxious thoughts arise. Acknowledge them without judgment and gently bring yourself back to the activity at hand. So part of this is really saying the anxiety will come up at some point when you're doing a solo activity. Take notice of that anxiety so that it's not being suppressed or ignored, and then do something to help alleviate that pressure.
Exactly, and I think the deep breathing, the being present and intentional about what you're doing are methods for mindfulness. And then if all else fail, just start describing what you're doing in your mind, not out loud. You don't have to do it out loud because you're by yourself. But just start describing it until you can bring your anxiety down enough to get to that place of, all right, I am present, I'm back again, I can do this here, and I'm gonna keep going. Because it helps you to push through even though the anxiety is there.
And even keeping in mind that when you're feeling anxious, it can trigger your fight or flight, or freeze response as well. And so being mindful of what triggers are coming up for you, and then applying a coping skill that directly targets that trigger. So if you're starting to feel like you're freezing and you're kind of stuck in place, maybe doing a movement activity or just moving in some way while you're alone that helps you feel loosened up. And then if you're feeling like running, that heightened anxiety, then maybe doing something that really helps to ground yourself, like the deep breathing and the grounding techniques. Okay. Next, we have reframing your thoughts. And part of this is challenging that negative belief where you can have thoughts like people will think I'm weird, they'll think I'm a loner or a loser.
I don't got no friends.
Exactly, I don't have no friends. So really challenging this with evidence of the contrary and reminding yourself that many people do enjoy solo activities, and it's perfectly normal to do. And part of this is even positive affirmations like I'm comfortable being alone. or I enjoy my own company, to counteract those negative self-talk.
I enjoy my own company. I love that.
I love that too.
I'm gonna steal that for later.
Let me know now.
Yeah.
Start
Next is planning and preparing, which Sharea was talking about, and Alexis as well. Of creating a plan for your solo activity to help to reduce that uncertainty and make you feel more in control of what you're doing. You can know where you're going, what you'll do, and how long you'll stay there as well. And then having a backup plan where if all else fails, you have an alternative, like calling someone up or having someone meet you there. Like if a solo dinner feels overwhelming, you can decide to switch to takeout and eat at home instead.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so I went on a sabbatical a few years back. I need another one. And I had it planned for 4 weeks straight, where I was convinced that I was gonna be able to do that without any like contact or family or this and that. And what I realized, the plan was great. However, I needed to make sure that I had alternatives. And so I had my best friend and her daughter, they flew in like 8 days in. And my husband came in with them. And that was like a surprise, but it was cool because then it was like, all right, I did need this.
Yeah.
I did my 2 weeks, but now I need, or the 8 days, but now I do need this as well. And so
Yeah.
realizing that you can be flexible in how you're doing your one-on-one or your solo time when you might need a little bit of adjustments and being okay with that as part of your growth too.
Yeah.
And I guess this kind of ties to what Sharea just said, but bring a comfortable or a comfort object.
Mhm.
So carrying something familiar, can help to bring you comfort, like a book, a journal, or even a piece of jewelry. And this can really just help you feel more secure.
Absolutely. It can actually help you ground in the moment too, if you're feeling that fight or flight, where you may be able to physically use it as a method of grounding, to hold it, to touch it, that kind of thing.
Okay, and next we have practicing self-compassion, which we talk about quite often, of just being kind to yourself, noticing when you're feeling anxious and normalizing those sensations. Also celebrating your small wins. So even if you just make it out the house for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, celebrating that and seeing the victory in that instead of saying, oh, I should have done more, or I'm not kind of where I need to be. Again, to kind of freeze there, focusing on the benefits, so reminding yourself of the positives of doing these solo activities, which really comes with engaging in self-reflection as well, and also visualizing your success. So before the solo activity, visualize yourself enjoying it and feeling calm and confident while you're doing it, as this can really help you have that positive mindset.
I'm already on the beach in Jamaica by myself.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm visualizing it.
Alone. That long trip.
So,
It helps that it's Jamaica on the beach. You know?
Yes.
Even just limiting your comparisons as well. So avoid those social media traps where
Right.
social media can make it easy to compare yourself
Yeah.
to others
Mhm.
who seem more comfortable in social settings. But of course, everyone's journey is different. And really, it's important to focus on your own progress.
Mhm.
And lastly, embrace your individuality, where you can recognize that doing things alone doesn't mean that you're isolated. It's really more of a sign of self-assurance and independence.
I think those two are really important because the comparison can be the death of us.
Mhm.
When it comes down to it, we just talked about the trip, we talked about the eating, but your version of what is your solo date has to have nothing to do with
Right.
what we just mentioned, and it's still success,
Mhm.
right? And so I think that's such an important part to also look at where you are in your life as a partner, a
Mhm.
parent, a student, just the
Mhm.
different identities that might prevent us from doing the same levels of things,
Yeah.
and acknowledging that as okay. Like,
Mhm.
I just don't want to do some of the solo dates that I did in the past because I don't have the time.
Mhm.
However, I'm gonna make sure that once a month, it becomes really about myself. That's what I
Yeah.
can do because I know it's important. If it means that once every other month, once every 6 months, you do what you can until you can get to the place where it's your own routine and pattern.
Mhm.
Yeah, completely. And also, of course, take your breaks when needed. So really listen to your body, where if you start to feel overwhelmed during a solo activity, it's okay to take a break. You can find a quiet spot to breathe and collect your thoughts before continuing. And even just pacing yourself again, where you can gradually do these things without excessive stress. Last but not least, very important is to reflect on the
Yeah.
experience. So after each solo activity, write down how it went, what you enjoyed, any anxious thoughts that came up, and really reflect on how you can learn and grow from that activity or that experience. And really over time, you can look back at your progress and your experiences and see how far you've come in overcoming this anxiety.
Absolutely. I think that's a really important part. I think that's good for, in general, when it comes to mindfulness activities, is to really be reflective. How you do that could be voice journaling, it could be video journaling. It doesn't have to be writing because that's not everyone's style. But it's important to reflect and to get that like look back over how you're doing so you can start celebrating.
And I'm chuckling to myself because I'm just thinking, if I did do any kind of like tangible reflection back then, I would just be laughing because I'm sure my first one would be like, hated it. Felt like a lonely loser. Everyone was staring at me. And then to see the like progression of like, oh, I had a bomb time by myself. Like, I am dope.
Exactly.
That's so true. I think, yeah. And in some ways, like I'm someone who I post on my Instagram story, like close friends. So that's typically where I celebrate, where it's like, guys, I went to a concert alone and I did this and I felt this. And then people will talk like, oh my God, I need to do that myself. Or
Exactly.
like, you're so,
Encourage.
yeah, exactly. Like, you're so brave. And it's like, it feels good as well. So really doing it in a medium that feels best for you. And can even allow you to share that with other people where you can then do either something together with a friend or inspire them to do it alone. too.
And I love that it's personal and it's customized to your personality type and your means, whatever that may be. Because we all have different privileges to do different things and we all have different interests and we all have different starting points. Like
Absolutely.
going to the gym alone for me wasn't even something I thought I considered like, oh, that's a solo thing. One, because I consider it an errand. But two, it's just like I am the person where even if I'm at the gym, I'm like, oh, hey, I'll make it. Or it's like, hey, can you teach me how to do this? Or I'll take like the Zumba class or like something like that. So I'm not really being mindful about me being an individual in that space. Where like for me, some of the other things like going out to eat or going to the movies, I'm like, oh no, I'm
This is solo.
I'm solo dolo, like real solo. So like, but then again, someone may say like, no, going to the gym by myself is like that's starting point, like that's ground zero.
Completely. All right, so now we can throw out activities for solo dates. I have a list of some, and if anything is in here, you can toss it. I have going for your favorite restaurants or cafe by yourself.
Of course.
Visiting a museum, art gallery, or a park alone.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorites to do. So when I used to do the thing, I used to go to the zoo every year too for my birthday.
Okay.
Yes.
We're not yucking anyone's yum.
there. I need to try that because I've been waiting for a day to the aquarium, but I should just do it myself.
Yes, like I went once because I had this big hang up of being like, nah, I don't think that's something you do by yourself.
Yeah.
And then I just went once and then it became like, all right, I like that. I had an enjoyable time. I didn't get to see everything yet because it was just always so much.
Yeah.
And then so what I started doing, like when I went to San Diego for the first time, I went to theirs by myself. Like, so I started when I go places, I'm gonna find a zoo and I'm gonna try to see if I can go by myself. I haven't done that one in a long time because I hit so many of them, but that's an example of like, you know, it's different.
I love that for you. I don't go to no zoo with
Not for
nobody.
you.
No, but I get it. Like, it's not for everybody.
I don't want to go with
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But I do love that.
But like the aquarium, that sounds like a good, like, so like thinking from that museum place.
Yeah.
Find your
I
thing.
like that.
Yeah.
And
The art, even the art class you said, like
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Yep. There's also, like we said, taking yourself to the movies or even a play, which I love.
which both of them I love.
Yes.
I fall asleep, but I love it. I'm like, I get some of my best sleep in these movies.
So true. That's true.
Yeah, very
Like
true.
Marvel, I gotta rewatch when I get back. Cause about 30 minutes is gone.
If I go alone, there's a less of a chance that I'll sleep because I'm anxious.
Oh,
But if
okay.
I'm with someone, I'm knocking out. Yeah.
Done.
Sorry.
I have my
Tell me what happened there.
There's also the pottery class that you can do, a concert, engaging in a hobby or a creative activity like painting, writing, or gardening. going on a solo trip or a weekend getaway, and then also enjoying a self-care day at home with activities like reading, taking a bath, or cooking your favorite meal.
Okay, so I do those all the time, so
Yeah.
that's like, okay, I didn't even acknowledge them, I gotta start acknowledging those. Win here.
Yes, you
I'm
winning.
winning, cause I'm like, oh, today's a bad day,
Mhm.
leave me alone, like.
I love that.
See, part of that is also like romanticizing your life, where it's like, yes, it's a mundane activity, but also this is self-care.
Mhm.
Love, like,
Oh, that sounds an
I'm getting it.
experience.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I go wow, this week bubble bath, next week
Mhm.
mom.
Mhm.
So, absolutely. Start counting those now.
Yeah. Definitely. Is there anything that isn't on this list that we want to tell us in?
Well, I think we mentioned some like the walking, like venturing out to new things, trying new things always is a good one.
Mhm.
I don't know, do you consider shopping? Cause depending on if you're a shopper or not.
Right.
Yeah, that could be a
Yeah, I
solo.
think depending on
Cause I
like,
used to shop all the time with everybody else, and then I started shopping my own because I wanted it over. So that's solo, but it's because it's
like a task.
yeah, the task to me.
Yeah.
Pampering myself, like
Getting your
solos,
nails.
getting my nails done, not having to wait till somebody else's or having a routine with each person. I think that's really all I can think of right off.
Mhm.
I'm probably thinking stuff while we're gone.
So I need to start thinking of more things that I don't feel like are tasks. Cause now I feel like even getting my nails and tools done, it feels like a task. Cause it's like, I just want you to, I don't like.
See, I think you need to romanticize it more than.
Yeah, cause you're going in like, get this done, cause it's somebody, it needs to be done.
Mhm.
No, I'm going in so I get this massage on my leg, I'm gonna
Exactly.
get the.
And I feel like I used to be there, but I feel like, I don't know, now it doesn't feel that way anymore. Maybe because the time that I have to do it is like a given
Oh,
time.
okay.
So it's like,
So now it's a routine.
yeah,
task.
so it's
Yeah.
like, oh, like,
It's my third
you know,
Friday of the month.
yeah, it's my third Friday. I get 2 free hours before I gotta go back home to the kids. So like I get to go, but it's like, so yeah, I think I have to start thinking of more things that I can do that are not task based or feel like a task.
Yeah.
Which are maybe exploring some of those other things you mentioned.
I think about the beach.
Oh,
I like going to the
yes.
beach, so I used to always go with everyone or wait till somebody wanted to go with me. I stopped that and was like, I don't care, even if I'm just gonna take a walk on the beach, even if I'm not gonna stay and sit, I just
Yeah.
wanna be on the beach or near the water. So that's one. I used to do the same thing with the pier in Philly when it wasn't as active as it is now. Cause all those new apartments are done, but I used to love just walking by the water
Yeah.
and the ships.
Mm.
So, but I would do it by myself, cause who's come? Like, what's that? Are we gonna go eat after? And I'm like, no, I just.
Right,
literally
what else
wanna
we
do
doing
that.
now?
Exactly, because then it becomes having to figure out what everybody else
Right.
wants to do.
Mhm.
That's so true.
So those are the things I can think of.
I'm only thinking of my long term, which is that Jamaica.
That's
So-
right.
Get it.
I got my long term scheduled, y'all. I gotta think of my short term.
Start with the small, get all the way to
Think
the
of-
large. There we
Yes.
go.
Yeah. Okay, so to wrap this up, dating yourself is a powerful practice for nurturing your mental health. It fosters self-love, increases resilience, and contributes to overall emotional well-being. And by regularly spending that time alone and enjoying your own company, you build that strong sense of self-awareness and self-acceptance, which can positively impact all areas of your life.
Absolutely.
And it's also important to challenge your anxiety when it comes to these solo activities. It takes time and patience, like we're saying. So it's really important to start small, reframe your thoughts from negative to more positive, and also practice that self-compassion, which can really allow you to gradually build confidence and learn to enjoy spending that time alone. Okay.
Nice.
Now we'll go into our wellness tips.
Oh, gosh. Drink your water, sis.
Yeah.
Drink your water, sis. Make sure your movement in some form. We don't tell you how to do that, but we talked about a few of them today. Walking, going to the gym, Zumba classes, just opportunities to move is always going to help our body. Make sure that you're thinking about your nutrition. It can be hard for us as we get ready to transition out of summer into fall, possible winter, for us to think about what we need to do to eat right, but think of it from vegetables and fruits always being a priority and just whole foods versus preserved. And those being ways to kind of start your process of taking care of your health and nurturing your body in that way. Make sure that you are getting your sleep and the rest that you need for your body. Each of us are different. However, they recommend somewhere between 5 to 8 hours, depending on your age, your body, and your activity sense. And learn to get routines when you're struggling with rest in terms of things like we said earlier, that could be solo things like taking a bath, putting our phone down, and sometimes journaling and getting the things out of our head so that we can rest.
Mindfulness, meditation.
Make sure you take care of your mindfulness and meditation. We've learned today in many ways that it's helpful for your solo self, but it's also helpful for your collective self in terms of interpersonal and relations and really just being present and being able to enjoy the things that are in front of us. So when we think about that, that can be things like prayer as well as meditation, depending on how you believe. It can also be walking and being a part of nature, which is also our spiritual self, which means that we have to participate in those things that we believe in order to increase our wealth and our wellness in those. And I think I hit them all except for self-compassion, which will be the last one, to make sure that you are kind to yourself and acknowledge that you are human and can, no matter what we talked about today, get through it all.
That's it. And now we're going into what are we grateful for? If you're watching this, also take a moment to write down what you're grateful for the day or for the month.
And feel free to add it to our comments so that we can also start to build as a community the things that we may not know how to acknowledge ourselves, some big or small. What am I grateful for? In real time, I am grateful to be able, as someone told me this morning, you taught me to breathe. I'm grateful to be a teacher of things that I believe in.
I love that.
I'm grateful for growth. Like I said, to go from feeling like a lonely little loser to now being like, yes, when is the next time I can go on a date with D? I have to pencil me in.
Amen to that.
I'm grateful for growth.
I like that. I'd say I'm grateful for clarity and just clarity in all areas of my life and like actively taking time to reflect and introspect, which goes into self-awareness. But that's really been my goal for August and for the rest of this year. So just maintaining.
What is the final quarter of the year? Get it together.
Exactly.
I love that clarity.
Yeah.
We can use some of that. We can all use some of that in wisdom.
Wisdom indeed.
Hopefully the clarity will get you some of that wisdom that you'll be able to use, so you won't have to need the clarity next time. Like you got wisdom now as a result of that clarity.
Yeah.
Isn't that like an awesome way to think about life in our relationships, in our finances, in our homes, in our friendship, everything? Like goodness. Okay.
All right.
But that's a good one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now we go into affirmations.
You can go ahead and start. Since you made yours. What was yours? Like,
Right, this one's mine.
I'm happy to be not alone.
I think that's what it was. Like I'm okay, or I enjoy my time alone.
On that, so you I enjoy my time alone. I am present with myself. I'm ready. Affirmations on my thing. We just go. I am present with myself. I am allowed to enjoy activities alone. I am allowed to not like an activity and learn to grow and have opportunity to do something else. I am allowed to ask for a break from others. I'm allowed to participate in solo activities that increase my knowledge, my health, and my joy in this world. I'm paused and giving y'all some time. Pause for the cause. I am creative in inventing new ways to love myself. I acknowledge that I will continue to have anxiety and still push myself through to those solo activities. I will not judge myself when something isn't complete because I tried. I'm going to have awesome success with dating me.
Yes.
I love it. All of it.
There you go. Those were all on the spot.
Said
There
it
we
all.
go.
Yeah.
Said it all.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
All
If you
right.
have any other informations, also put it in the comments and share with one another.
Mhm.
And
Just to remind you, we are actively trying to create a schedule for this show, but we will definitely have at least one a month that is new and up to date related to areas that we're talking about around emotional support. And we will always be welcome to new ideas and new topics that you would be interested in hearing about from us.
completely. So please put that in the comment section down below. And we'll always be checking them to incorporate that into our schedules. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you next month for a new recording.
All right, y'all be well.
Take care.
See ya.